Hey guys, it's Ultraman Fan 100 and welcome back to Spooktober Storytime Volume 3. Today's chapter is the Psychic Knock game, narrated by Delta. So, let's open the book to Chapter 2, shall we?
That idiot Josh started this. He found a Snapchat user called CallMe469. Rumor had it was some account that belonged to a hot girl, so Josh thought he could flirt with her, I guess. Despite the suggested name, Josh was misguided. After connecting, the user sent him nothing but snaps detailing the instructions to some sort of psychic game. You get a group of you together, and if we focus hard enough, you can knock on somebody's door with your collective psychic energy. Josh explained to me, Martin, and Tony in school on Monday. We noticed there was a bit more to it than Josh explained when he showed us the snaps. Each one had a handwritten instruction. Rule 1. You need a large group of people who are some way connected. Friends, teammates, or classmates work well. Rule 2. You must all agree on which door to knock on. If there's a disagreement in the group, the game will not work. Rule 3. Everyone must wear black. Rule 4. Everyone must sit in a circle and join hands. Rule 5. The leader/caller in the group must place a picture of a door, a map showing the route from the group to the door's location, something belonging to the person to receive the second knock in the center of the circle. Rule 6. There must be complete silence. Rule 7. The group must concentrate on the map and visualize moving at the door one at a time, starting with the person that sits left to the caller. When you reach the door, squeeze the hand of your neighbor to the left. Only when the caller gets to the house can you begin to focus on the knock. Rule 8. The group, except for the caller, must raise their right hand, concentrate on the door, and visualize the caller's hand raised and knocking. Rule 9. The caller must also visualize the knock. The psychic energy of the group will be channeled into the caller's right hand and will raise of its own accord and knock. We didn't know how many people we needed, so it started off as a few close friends. We picked our chemistry teacher, Mr. Griffin, since he lived quite close to me, so it would be easy to picture his door and steal one of his garden gnomes. Everything was set and planned, then disaster struck. My mom got asked to cover a shift at work. We really needed the money, so she couldn't say no. Because of this, I had to stay home and look after my little sister, Joni. So while Josh, Tony, and Martin were having fun with the hottest girls in our class and trying to physically bother our teacher, I was stuck at home with a 9-year-old brat. Once I packed her off to bed, I jumped on my laptop and Skyped Josh. It was 10 a.m. "Hey man, this is awesome. Kayla and all the girls came in," he said. "It sucks that you can't be here." "I know, man. When are you gonna get started?" "Struck at midnight, dude. Look, stay online, but we are gonna have to put you on mute since, the instructions did say complete silence." I hung out with them for a couple hours via Skype and watched them get ready in Josh's basement den. They were all dressed in black, and Josh lit a bunch of candles around the room that cast an eerie, flickery light. When he turned off the light, the soft, low candlelight made the image of the screen pixelated and indistinct. "Sorry, dude, we gotta put you on silence," Josh said, and he hit mute. At this point, I can hear them, but they couldn't hear me. They formed a circle, cross-legged on the floor. Josh was revealed in his role as caller, dishing out instructions and trying to act cool. They were whispering and nodding. Then when they pulled out the map and an object to put in the middle of the circle, they broke it out into giggles, and then a few of them shot glances at the screen to look at me. I couldn't make out the images clearly, but it didn't look like Mr. Griffin's house. It looked like a sweater. My sweater. Then that when it hit me, they were gonna knock on my door. "You sons of bitches," I shouted out in the muted Skype call. There was nothing I could do. They were in a circle now, completely focused. I watched, powerless to intervene. I could see the hand squeeze as the members of the circle passed the psychic baton to one another, but I could only somehow sense it. I felt the energy of the building from one person to the next. The candlelight grew dimmer, drawing all attention into the circle, blocking out the rest of the room, the rest of the world. The lights flickered wildly as each hand was squeezed tight. And then, the energy passed. Despite the room being silent, a distant rumbling, granting noise grew over our connection. It hurt in my ears. I wanted to scream at the sky, but my entrance by the event unfolded on the screen. The energy passed to Josh, and the group broke hands. They raised in unison. Josh's hands rested on his knees, his face impassive, eyes narrowed. They knocked 3 times, slowly and deliberately. And possibly a deep reverberation built over the sky call, so that, but it did not. The booming noise echoed into the pit of infinity. It was hard to describe the next few moments. Josh's hand shot up. For a fraction of a second, he stared at it, a terrified look on his face. And in an instant, the look was gone, and his eyes rolled back in his head, only the wife now staring vacantly out. The flickering candle transformed the shadow of his raised hand from a teenage boy's into the granted, snarly, and twisted fiend. I don't know what I actually saw or imagined it after the fact, but then, less than a heartbeat, I thought I saw a terrible creature who owned that hand. Itch in the shadow of the wall, and my screen. A sound came over the speakers, full of dread, malice, and glee. It was once a scream, a roar, more terrifying, the word, yes. The circle must have been heard it as well, for they clutched their fists in their ears, face retching in agony, blood twirled in some of their noses. Speakers blew, plunging my room into silence. Josh was obviously in his glazed eye strands. He made a slow, deliberate knocking motion 3 times. Boom! My attention shot to my front door. At the thudding sound of knocks, my heart began to race. Boom! The knock on my door was in perfect unison with Josh knocking on a screen. A couple of groups in Josh's den scrambled to their feet, freaked out what was going on. I felt sick. This has gone too far. Boom. I stood up and backed away from the door to my stairs. No fucking way I was opening that door with this shit I had just seen. I ran upstairs to check on Julie, make sure she was perfectly okay. Thankfully, she was asleep. I went in my own room and grabbed my baseball bat from the window. I have a good view on the door. Sweaty and hyperventilating. I nervously drew back the curtains to look. Nothing. I grew bolder and took a good look, studying our porch and looked out the street. Still nothing, but I could feel a presence. That's when I caught a glimpse, shadowy movement in the trees around the road. It was only for an instant, but then I saw the same outline that I had seen in Josh's den. I must have fallen asleep at some point, mentally taxed from the ordeal. I woke up with the baseball bat next to me, in the cold light of morning. With a couple of hours of sleep under my belt, things felt different. Cool, almost. What had actually happened to me to be so scared? Josh probably faked his eye rolling, and the look of fear is when his hand moved. The group were on switching it to me rather than Griffin, so they most likely had someone come around to do the knocking as a joke. I bet they're recording me on Skype so they can see my reaction. I went to school more pissed off than scared, ready to confront my dickhead friends. My mood pretty quickly shifted. The whole group from the night before were gathered. They all looked terrible. Josh, worse than the rest, pale as a ghost. I'm so sorry, Cody. I had no idea, man. I'm fucking scared, he said as he soon looked at me. He showed his phone. There was a snap from Call Me 469. It was a picture of my front door. All 13 of them had received the same snap, even though only Josh was connected to the user. The message said, "You called me, but no one answered. I will return. Wonder you must let me in."
I hope you all enjoyed today's chapter of Spooktober Storytime Volume 3. Anyways, I'm Ultraman Fan 100, signing off.